what's up guys? Valley Flying here. I am back. Welcome to the channel. Talking about Marvel Strike Force and something super important in the game, and that's how to set up your team. Actually, where to physically place these guys on the map to best protect them from chain attacks and adjacent attacks. And when you look at the other team, how to best utilize your chain and adjacent attacks, because a lot of characters have these chain attacks. Some of them have these blast attacks that do adjacent damage, and it took me a little while to figure it out. So very important stuff. Before I get to that though, Deadpool, saw that last night. Awesome movie, highly recommend it. Make sure if you see it though, you stick around for the credits. Some funny stuff in there. I'm not going to talk about it, and don't talk about it in the comments. Don't leave any spoilers in case other people haven't seen it. But anyway, back to the main topic. How did this topic come about? Well, one of my ally mates was helping out someone else in the alliance, Tech Paradox. Thank you for writing this article. He wrote this article on Reddit a few weeks ago. I just saw it yesterday, and it is a very good, goes into a lot of depth, great article, and pretty much discussing this. So thank you, Tech Paradox, for allowing me to discuss this. So let's go in and let me just kind of summarize. So your basic team looks like this. You have your front row, slots 1, 3, and 5, and then you have your back row, slots 2 and 4. What does it mean to be adjacent? Well, number 1 is only adjacent to slot 2. Slot 2 is only adjacent to 1 and 3. Slot 3, you got adjacent to the 2 and 4. Slot 4 is adjacent to 3 and 5, and 5 is adjacent to number 4. So 1 is not adjacent to 3, 3 is not adjacent to 5, 4 is not adjacent to 2. That's how basic works. Now, there's 3 attacks in the game that you can attack multiple targets. The first is an AoE attack, and really the order doesn't matter because you're attacking all the targets. A good example is Crossbones. It says detonate, it's going to go off and it's going to attack everybody. Doesn't matter where they are on the team. Rocket's maximum damage, another one that does that. Then we have chain attacks. Now the way these work is, if you, let's say you attack someone in slot 1, it's just going to go down the chain until that chain is broken. How is it broken? Well, let's say someone in slot number 2 is dead. Let me pull that out real quick. Let's say 2 is gone. Boom. Well, that adjacency is going to stop. The chain is going to stop. And this one is going to be gone. And this is going to be gone. Because there's nothing in there to keep chaining that. The chain is dead. It's broken. How else can you stop that? If the person in slot number 2 is in stealth mode. So Black Widow, Elektra, any other the hands that go into stealth mode, if this person in number 2 is dead or is stealth and you attack someone in 1, well, that chain is not going to go on anymore. And that is the reason why I place Black Widow in this spot right here in most cases when I'm setting up how my team is going to look, at least for the teams that I have Black Widow in. And my tank goes right here. And that way any chain that the enemy tries to throw on my team is going to stop right here and it's just going to hit my tank. So it's kind of rendering that chain attack into a single target attack if they're attacking the tank. Now, if let's say you attack someone in slot 3, it could go this way or it could go this way. As far as I know, there's no way to control the direction that the chain goes in. If I am incorrect, please leave a comment in the section down below. But if you attack someone right here, it could go either way. If you attack someone with a chain attack in slot number 2, it could go up all the way down, or it could go right back and it's going to stop because there's nothing else after number 1. That's how that works. And what are some good examples of chain attacks? Well, Captain America has a shield bash on his basic attack where he does a chain attack. Thor with his hammer throw, that one could go up to 9 targets. So if you have a full chain and you have some other characters in here that are also adjacent in their chain, well, he's going to do a lot of damage. Wolverine has one, Daredevil has one. There's a bunch of other characters that have chain attacks. But that's how that works. The next attack I want to talk about is blast attacks. Now this is a different type of attack. This is something that does damage to the adjacent targets. So if I am attacking someone in slot number 3, that's also going to hit number 2 and number 4. It does not matter if they're stealth. Obviously, if they're dead, you can't attack them, but it's going to attack everybody that's adjacent to them. So when I place Black Widow next to my tank and someone attacks with a big blast attack doing adjacent damage, she is still taking damage even though she's in stealth. The stealth will not stop an adjacent attack. So that is why I place my weakest target, or my weakest character, all the way opposite side of my tank. Hopefully my tank's getting all this damage. The chain is stopping as soon as possible, hopefully at a stealth target, and this person is not being affected if number 1 has a taunt up. And that is the basics of your most basic team. No minions summon. It does get a little more complicated as we get into minions. So let's take a look at your basic minion setup. Let me take off all of these guys right here and put up the minions. Now minions fill these extra spots, and as far as I know, the most spots that you could have on your team is 10. So if we put the minions and the main team up here, those are the spots that can be filled. Now, a minion can also fill a spot on the main team if someone on that main team is dead. So let's say someone on number 2 is dead. Well, that minion could go into that spot, or it could go into one of these random spots. As far as I know, when you summon minions, where they're placed is totally random. Now, when we're looking at their adjacency, it's pretty much the same thing. Pretty simple when you just look at them, but obviously you're not going to have a team with just minions. You're going to have these guys. So when you take into account all the adjacency of the targets that are up here, it gets a little more complicated. So you have a bunch of different adjacent attacks that could happen. So all these central targets right here are going to have 5 additional targets, assuming this is a full map with all 10 spots taken. So these spots, B, 3, D, 2, C, and 4, all have 5 spots they can fill. For example, if I attack someone right in the middle at spot 3, well, an adjacent attack is always going to hit someone in B, 2, C, 4, and D. So if you attack someone right in this spot, you're getting damage on 6 targets. On these outer targets, you only get 3 additional targets. So if I attack someone on 1 additional target, it's only B, 2, and A. So for your high value targets, you're getting a lot of traffic here. You don't want to place your more valuable teammates in the middle here, and you want to place your tankier teammates on the side. There are exceptions. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. And that's how the adjacent attacks works on the blast. Now a chain, these can go all over the place. I mean, usually it goes right in a line, so it could go, follow this same line here. There are instances that they do come back though, and I'm not sure if that's a bug or if that's something that is supposed to happen, particularly on Black Widow and Widow's Bite and Captain America on his shield throw. There's nothing in the description that says that the attacks can bounce all over the place. Like, for example, if Black Widow's starting her chain on 3, it could jump to 1. There should be no reason for it to jump to 1, but it does happen sometimes. The other chain attack that goes in random directions, that has a different mechanic, is on Deadpool's Hack and Slash. As far as I know, nobody has them unlocked yet. But specifically in the update notes, it says that that chain attack goes back to the original targets. So where you place your team really matters in how to set it up when trying to avoid some of the big attacks from the enemies that could really wipe out your whole team if you set up your team wrong. It also matters when you're attacking the opposing team, because these adjacent targets also apply to them as well. Let's look at this scenario real quick right here. Let's take off some of this stuff. Let's say you run into this scenario right here where everyone around target 1 is dead. So target 1 has no adjacent attacks. Well, you definitely don't want to hit target 1 with a adjacent target or a chain attack, because the chain will be broken. There's nowhere for the chain to go. You want to, if you have a chain attack that you want to use, definitely want to attack it on this side right here, because you have a lot of opportunities for the chain to continue on. Other thing you want to pay attention to is your adjacent target attacks, not just the chain attacks. So if you've watched my videos, you've seen how I use Quake and her basic skills. I like to attack this back row right here so I can get the whole side of that front row. And if possible, and if it makes sense in the battle that I'm in, I like to come back and hit this other back row and basically get this other side. So this whole team is slowed, and when I'm pairing Quake with Black Widow, really makes a difference. So know where your adjacent targets are. Really important for that. Let's talk about how to set up your team. Best use of a team, if you're doing one attack, one tank, I like to put them in slot 1 just to keep it easy, and put my weakest target, my squishiest guy that I want to keep alive, right here in number 5. If you're going with a 2-tank setup, well, tanks go on 1 and 5, and the squishiest target goes on number 3, because if you're attacking number 5 with an adjacent target attack, it's not going to reach 3. It can if it's a chain attack though, and there's nothing to stop that chain from being broken. Exception to that is Thanos, because on Thanos' passive, he can give energy to adjacent targets that have that cosmic tag. So if you put Thanos here, Nebula here, and Gamora right here, and someone dies, well, he has a possibility to give some more energy to these 2 adjacent targets because they have that cosmic tag as well. And that is pretty much the only exception to this tank rule. Normally I put tanks on either side or both sides and leave this spot for my squishiest target. That is it. And if you have any other questions about team setup, how to position them correctly, really makes a difference. If it's an important battle, I highly recommend looking at the other team you're facing and positioning your team correctly. If you watch my videos though, you know I don't always do that on some of these not as important battles, or just when I'm trying to get through the fight quickly. Let me know what you think. Make sure you smash that like button and smash that subscribe button and the notifications so you get notified every time I put up a new video. I will see you guys next time. What you gonna do when Valley comes down on you, brother? Valley out.